Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something that is honestly one of the trickiest goals in the modern workplace, and that is transforming mental health from a fleeting kind of feel-good idea into a permanent structural reality. If you've ever wondered how to actually build a mentally healthy culture by using compassion, not just as an emotion, but as a hardcore strategic tool, you are definitely in the right place. We're going to break down the exact mechanics you need to really explain in detail how to sustain a truly supportive environment.
So let's kick things off with a pretty massive question. Why do good workplace strategies fail to become actual culture? We have literally all seen this play out, right? A company rolls out this shiny new mental health initiative. Maybe it's a wellness week or a subscription to a meditation app. There's this huge burst of initial excitement, and then nothing really changes. Everyone just goes back to their desks, stress levels creep right back up, and the daily grind is exactly the same as it was before. The initiative just completely fails to take root. Well, it turns out there is a very specific, structural reason for this failure, and understanding it is going to fundamentally change how we look at organizational health.
All right, let's dive into Section 1, the culture conversion problem.
Look, there is a deep, fundamental disconnect between temporary workplace strategies and lasting organizational culture. Just having a great strategy, it simply isn't enough. Without sustainable planning, even the best strategies just hit a brick wall. They stay these isolated, one-off initiatives that are incredibly difficult to ever convert into an actual living culture. Think about it, like planting a tree but never bothering to set up an irrigation system. The intention is great, but the follow-through is completely missing. Sustainability isn't just some corporate buzzword here. It's the absolute structural bridge that allows a well-intentioned idea to actually evolve into how your business operates day in and day out.
Moving right along to Section 2, compassion as strategic planning. To bridge that gap between a temporary strategy and a permanent culture, we really have to reframe our entire understanding of compassion. We usually associate it with, interpersonal relationships, or just being nice to your coworkers in the hallway. But here, compassion is a hard, strategic asset. It requires rigorous, intentional integration into the actual strategic plans of the business. It's literally a mechanical requirement. If you want your wellness strategy to survive, you absolutely must architect compassion right into the blueprint. And that means budgeting for it, scheduling time for it, and making it a measurable key performance indicator. It has to become a non-negotiable part of the operational plan, exactly the same as revenue targets or product launches.
Which brings us to Sections 3 and 4, the feedback loop and continuous improvement.
Okay, so you've integrated compassion into your strategic plan. Awesome. But how do you actually keep it alive? Well, it works through this deeply interconnected chain reaction. Step 1, you integrate compassion. That structural compassion creates the baseline psychological safety that you desperately need for Step 2, which is collecting honest, unfiltered feedback from your organization. Let's be real. People simply aren't going to speak up about burnout or systemic issues if they don't feel structurally cared for in the first place. And finally, that feedback becomes the vital raw data you need for Step 3, continuous improvement. You absolutely cannot have real improvement without honest feedback, and you're never going to get that feedback without building compassion into the system first. Creating a healthy culture is this active, ongoing cycle. It functions almost like a living ecosystem, or honestly, like a constantly running engine inside the business. Collecting feedback and conducting continuous improvement are totally inextricably linked. It's a dynamic, endless loop. You put your compassionate plan into action, you actively listen to how it's actually impacting your team on the ground, you tweak and improve your processes based on that real-world data, and then you feed that improved strategy right back into the organization. A mentally healthy culture is never static. It requires deliberate, constant maintenance through this exact feedback loop.
And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, sustaining a healthy culture.
Everything we've discussed today really brings us to one ultimate payoff: actively conducting continuous improvement to create a healthy culture. I want you to notice the powerful active verbs at play here. A healthy culture is the direct result of an ongoing mechanism. It is created, it is conducted, it is sustained. It is never just some happy accident, and it's certainly not a lucky byproduct of a one-off seminar. A truly resilient workplace is an engineered outcome. It's born from rigorously planning for compassion and then relentlessly adjusting things based on what your people actually tell you they need. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer.
I really want you to apply this rigorous structural lens to your own workplace. Is your organization's compassion truly sustainable? Is it actively woven into the strategic planning, measured by honest feedback, and continuously improved year over year? Or is it just a strategy without a plan, essentially destined to fail the culture conversion test? It's a pretty challenging question for sure, but it is the only one that matters if you truly want to sustain a mentally healthy culture. Thank you so much for joining me for this deep dive. Keep learning, keep asking those hard questions, and I'll see you next time.